Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Pizza Time, Game Club Central's creator interview series where we meet your heroes. Tonight, we meet my hero. When I started streaming, this gentleman had recently released a table called Voodoos Carnival, and I'd like to introduce you to Kenji. Kenji, hi. Thanks for joining us.
Hi. How's it going?
Not bad. I picked up a pie. I hope you did too. I'm going to show mine off, and then maybe you can. So tonight, I went outside my comfort zone, and you can't see it all, but I got pepperoni, salami, pineapple, black olives, garlic, and spinach. And I gotta tell you,
Combination.
Delicious. What'd you get? Mine's from Mod Pizza. I forgot to say that.
Oh, I got it from Chicago Pizza Company. And, well, what's left of it, I don't know if you can see that or not, but
yeah,
it's pepperoni, onions, and bell peppers.
It's a good choice. I never get the bell peppers anymore. I need to change that. I really appreciate you coming. So
thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. But you know, you and I've talked a little bit about. I think you're a very interesting guy. So if you don't mind, let's tell the audience, you know, more about you and your personal life. What outside of pinball, what kind of hobbies? How's home life? Who's Kenji?
Let's see. Well, I live in Las Vegas now, I should say. I moved here after I got out of the Army. Currently with my current wife for the last 20 years. Got one son, 2 grandkids, and plenty of things to keep me occupied between playing pinball and whatnot.
We've got some of your old Army photos right down below you here.
Yeah, there's some old pictures of me when I was in my 20s, and it was in the early 90s in Kuwait, outside of Iraq at the time.
How long were you serving there?
We were there for a little over 4 months.
Wow.
Very, very unpleasant place to live.
Yeah, I remember working at a car dealership, thinking about a lot about you guys at that time and what you were going through. And, you know, I appreciated your service at the time. Now my stepdaughter, but she's in the military. She's had, you know, all that rough basic training and nerve gas testing and all that stuff. Not nerve gas.
Yeah, it's fun.
Anyways, that's appreciate your service and sacrifices there. Thank you. The other thing that's showing down there wasn't Kuwait. It looked like you were in a band at some point. Is that true?
I've been in several bands, actually. Okay. I played guitar in several different punk bands over the years. And now I'm retired because nobody wants to see their grandfather up on stage with a guitar.
Yeah, I beg to differ. I got a friend who's 72 and still rocking on the stage, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems a little weird for me to be up there, and I got grandkids now. I'm playing in a hardcore punk band. You know, just
punk band, yeah, maybe.
Later on.
It's a little rough at our age, I guess. But you're only what, like 37? I mean, you're young.
Oh yeah,
yeah, totally young. So what got you into the I'm gonna back up our little show here because, you know, what are these pumpkins you got going on here? Is that your handiwork?
That's my other hobby that I have once a year for Halloween. I don't do it as much anymore, but yeah,
those are amazing.
Like carving pumpkins.
How long does one of those take you?
Maybe 2 or 3 hours nowadays. When I first started, it was a lot longer, but I've kind of gotten better at it over the years.
Is that something you pre-plan, or you just kind of carve and make it as you go? I imagine the latter.
Yeah, just kind of as I go.
That's fun. I'm never that daring with art. I'm always overly planning and overly critical with it. That's really cool. I appreciate you sharing the pumpkins.
Yeah, well, pumpkins are temporary. They'll eventually rot. Nobody gets to see them ever again.
They thematically match our timing too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. What got you into virtual pinball?
My virtual story. Well,
when I on the journey.
First found virtual pinballs because I was researching how to build. Because I wanted to build my own homebrew at the time. So I was looking around the internet, and BP kept popping up. So that's kind of how I started looking into the VPX 10 stuff, and it's kind of where I started from there, because that's what I kept finding at the time when I was trying to, learn how to build an actual machine, and kind of been doing that ever since. I just kind of stumbled upon it, really.
Have you made a homebrew yet?
No, not yet. Yeah, I decided it was a better idea to kind of learn to do things in virtual first, and then eventually I'll move over to making an actual homebrew.
But your love of virtual pinball started from the desire to make a homebrew. That's cool. A lot of us are introduced to the hobby very differently than that, so I like that. Sorry, I'm looking through my notes here a little bit. So Voodoo Carnival, what? I know what you put in the notes, but tell everybody here what your primary inspiration was for that table and how you came up with the concept.
Yeah, that's kind of a odd story. That actually took me quite a while to build. I probably started it a lot earlier than the first 2 years that I know I put in the notes, but originally it was going to be strictly about voodoo, and then I looked at the assets online. Didn't find anything I really liked as far as art-wise, so I thought I'd switch it over to another theme I wanted to do, which was Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And eventually I just decided that, I'll just do an original theme, and kind of married the two together and came up with the idea of a clown named Voodoo that's haunting a pinball machine, basically.
Awesome. Before you dreamt up Voodoos Carnival, what other creative products were you involved in? I saw Misfits and some other stuff, but...
Yeah, I did the very, very early on. Shortly after I got into the virtual stuff, it was I had done a reskin of Firepower to the Misfits, because my wife is really into the Misfits, and she, I thought if I made a table that she liked, that she would start playing pinball also.
Did that work?
She did for about 5 minutes, and then, it's not as good as that went.
I have that problem too, honestly.
Yeah. Then I did one more after that, which was just a quick reskin of Radical. I did Skate and Destroy.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That was pretty much it for as far as me doing mods, because it's just, reskins are great. It was great to use to learn, which is kind of what I ended up doing, because I didn't know any of this stuff. I had to teach myself how to use GIMP and the editor and VP and all that stuff. And that's kind of how I started off, to teach myself stuff.
Did you have anybody to bring you along? Was there anybody in the community that latched onto what you were doing? And
in the beginning, not in the beginning. My first 2 mods, that's always just me. On learning the art stuff, and asked a few questions here and there. And
where were you asking your questions? Were you on VPF or on VPU? Were you in the Facebook groups? Just curious.
I think it was Probably, well, more than likely it was probably one of the Facebook groups at the time.
Seems to be where most people connect.
Yeah, it was quite a while ago. And then for Voodoo, I had joined Orbital Creators Club.
Oh, okay.
You know, Wick stuff.
Yeah, Mr. Wick.
And that's kind of where I started off at. And then Voodoo kind of took a back seat for a while because I was getting frustrated trying to make a layout that I liked. And, you know, it probably sat dormant for, I don't know, 6-7 months before I got back into it, 2020. So, but in 2020, what had happened is my dad had passed away.
I'm sorry.
And I had to deal with that. So my way of coping with it, because unfortunately I had to deal with, you know, he had passed away over in Mexico at the time.
Oh.
So I had to deal with
law.
Yeah, international and pandemic at the time.
Oh yeah.
So I couldn't go down there.
Wow.
His body out. Had to deal with, you know, corrupt funeral directors and stuff. It was pretty crazy. So I spent a lot of my time to kind of de-stress by building Voodoo, which is probably why I poured so much time into it. You know,
over 2 years you spent working on that.
Yeah.
Quite an undertaking. How difficult was the process of creating a table from scratch? I guess I got a few questions here. Let me throw you a softball question first. Did you do all the artwork on there?
I will say that I borrowed the artwork.
Okay, but you put it all together.
No, I put it all together, right.
You took assets and created something from them. Is that fair?
Yes.
You did a great job, because that's what I do. I create art from other art, but you did an amazing job. The textures are insanely cool. It's quite nice job you did for what it's worth.
Thanks. Yeah, I think maybe got a little overboard with the texturing, the crackled texture, but
some people thought it was a little much. I even had one of my viewers made it more of a wood grain because he just preferred that. But you know, it grew on me. At first, it was hard to see the ball with the color without the contrast, but I grew to love it. Pinball's something you gotta savor it for a little while before you make an assessment. At least that's my take. And your table not only grew on me, but I mean, I don't know, you probably weren't watching me back then, but we started making viewer rewards based on your game. We started, you know, featuring your game in tournaments and stuff. I fell in love with Voodoo, so thank you. Again, I'm gonna say it's way too much. I liked it. What did you enjoy about the work of creating a table from scratch? And was there an area that you didn't enjoy all that well?
Didn't really have a problem with much of it. I mean, it was just all learning for me. Like every aspect of it was me trying to figure out, you know, how to do something. So I mean, that whole table was me spending 2 years basically just learning how to do all this stuff all at once. So there was a lot of problem solving. I mean, I liked working on the scripting end of it a lot. I mean, the script for me is probably pretty basic compared to a lot of other people, but it's kind of more like me pounding a square peg into a round hole type of a deal, you know, until it went through.
That's neat insight.
For the most part, I think it mostly works. I'm sure there's lots of stuff that needs to be fixed, but
sure, a lot of us are still resizing our pup videos. I think that's the big one, but you know, leave it to Rick and Dan to find all the intricate little bugs and refresh it later. I mean, it's enjoyably playable as it is. I do hope you come back to it. I have a question for you a little later, but I'm going to save that one. It looked like in the release notes for that you and Wilt possibly worked on the table rule set together. That intrigues me greatly. How difficult was the process of creating a rule set from scratch? How was Wilt involved, if I can ask? And what did it all entail to do that?
Well, Wilt was involved because I'm a horrible speller, and apparently I speak English and poor English, and poor English would be my first language. So Wilt went through all my pup videos, every screen, and showed me all the editing mistakes that I had made, misspelled words and phrasings and stuff like that. And he gave me notes on what needed to be fixed. And then he rewrote the rules for me because I'd given him the rules, and of course he had to edit that too because I screwed some stuff up. But
okay. So he was your red pencil.
He was the editor in chief on Voodoo.
Makes sense. He's often correcting me in my own Discord. Didn't you mean to say it this way? Doesn't it bother you that it doesn't have the apostrophe on there? You know, Wilt, it does. Thanks for bringing it to my attention. I love him. So you worked with a lot of other people here and there on this, Wilt, we just talked about. Right. You mentioned Apophis, but my understanding was you went and created a VPN workshop, help shop for this.
Right.
How was it working with those guys? But how did you get in touch with them to begin with and get them into your project?
Well, originally, and I had gone to Rick. This is back when I was still in just the Orbital Pin Club. So I had brought the table to Rick, and, it was still pretty raw. I basically only had a layout because, I wanted to get his reaction because, Rick, if Rick hates it, then he'll let you know. So, but he seemed to enjoy the layout, thought the shots were good. So I went ahead on what I was working on, and he tested the hell out of it for a while, as I put things in, and eventually talked me into getting into the BPW help shop for it. I mean, I was already in BPW for, they had brought me in for some other thing on blood machines, I think it was back in the day, but I was in the middle of doing voodoo stuff, so I really wasn't very much help. I think I was there at the very, very early beginning before Astro Nasty started doing the
Excuse me. You did some of the artwork?
No, I didn't do any of the art. That was all Astro Nasty. Early on, I think Daphne and myself and a few other people were, kind of trying to work out ideas as far as, because at that time there was no art for it.
Yeah, but you were trying to translate what the movie was putting down into a layout.
Yeah, we were trying to just get something on there so it wasn't just, blank screen. And
yeah, cool. That's another.
Pretty early on. And then I really didn't have anything else to do with the project because I got too busy with Voodoo, my own stuff.
So, who all worked on Voodoo with you over there? I think I saw Apophis.
Apophis was a lot of help. He's the because I had done the Fleep and Roth physics myself.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, I didn't do it completely because when Apophis took a look at it, he had to go back and fix and make correct. So he straightened that out and got it playing the way it does now, and which is
cool.
Was pretty amazing.
I didn't know you had added Fleep and then Fozzie. I mean, that's...
Well, I had attempted to. That's why.
Hey, even attempting to is an accomplishment.
He fixed a lot of it for me, so...
Yeah, but you got your feet wet. You started. It's pretty cool. So your table has a lot of depth to it. You get the side shows, you get the modes, you get the strong man and the clown. Honestly, one of my favorite tables still to this day to fire up and play. I need to know though, Kenji, are we ever gonna see the wizard mode, or should I just give up hope?
Oh, I do have a wizard mode in mind. I just haven't gotten around to finishing it.
That's fair.
Starting it.
Okay. It's like Terry's Silent Hill. It'll be done when it's done, folks. Stay tuned.
It needs to be, as Joey had told me, it needs to be a reward of some sort. So I've been trying to work that out.
Yeah. As long as you're thinking about it, I'm quite satisfied. Thank you. I thought you were gonna say, nah, I'm done. I'm gonna move on to something else.
Well, the way I built it was because you can scroll through the different modes.
Right.
My thinking at the time was, if I decided I wanted to add more modes to it, I can just write new code for it, slap it in there, and throw a new pup pack out there. You'll have 4 or 5 new modes to play. Just because I felt like making something else to add to it, and it's not really going to disrupt the gameplay as is now.
Yeah, or swap the modes out for like Halloween or Christmas.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I could.
Sorry.
I could do something like that. Maybe I can make it all My Little Pony.
We should talk. My Little Pony, man. I got ideas. All right. Appreciate that. I'm glad you're still thinking about it. The table doesn't suffer without it, but it would be a nice little addition, I think.
Yeah.
Do you play much, real or virtual? And can you name a couple of your favorites?
I do. I play a lot of both, except for when I'm working on stuff. And right now I'm kind of working on something, so I don't play virtual as much. But no, I have a Houdini at home, so I play that pretty often. Plus, whenever I get the chance, I go down to the Pinball Hall of Fame, which is 20 minutes away from me here. So I have plenty of options to go play pinball.
That's cool.
I play a lot of real pinball. I play a lot of virtual when I can. I just don't feel like playing my other machine downstairs.
You got a couple of favorites all time?
Oh, all-time favorites. Class of 1812 and Bad Cats.
Wow. Those are unique picks. I applaud you, sir. And you mentioned Houdini. You still have that?
Oh, yeah, I still have a Houdini.
I assume that's why Voodoo is built from the layout of Houdini?
Yeah, Houdini was kind of the basis of, it's not exactly like Houdini. There's a lot of stuff in it that's,
unique.
Down. So I kind of changed a little bit here and there. So it's not a one-to-one, but
it's truly original. I don't want to discount that, but you started the idea from the layout of Houdini. Is that more?
Yeah, I borrowed a lot of the ideas from Houdini. Yeah. Layout.
Every table borrows ideas. Every table. Cool. I like hearing that Bad Cats is one of your favorites, and an old Gottlieb like 1812. That's odd. Thank you.
Yeah, I just don't know. I think I like the theme of 1812.
Yeah, so. Me too. It's fun. I like America's Most Haunted and some of those stupid ones like that too.
Oh yeah,
Haunted House, gimmicky.
Oh, Haunted House is great. I mean,
yeah,
it's one of my favorite ones, but I suck at that game. So
yeah, me too. Me too.
It's the extra buttons for the lower flippers that screw me up.
Well, and when you mentioned 1812, but when I used to try that when it was new, I never liked it because for a long time I just couldn't fall in love with the Gottlieb table.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, at least initially, because I jumped from a Williams Ballet, be playing high speed, and you jump over to Gottlieb, it's just night and day. especially, you know, when you're playing a flow table, which was what I tended to gravitate toward as a kid. But as an adult, I've grown to really like the Gottliebs, some of the Capcoms out there, just for the originality they were able to put out there. So
yeah, I tend to like. Well, I tend to gravitate towards original themes more than you know, something that's already been.
Sure.
I don't necessarily care if it's a movie theme or not, but I like the artwork of originals a lot more, I think.
Well, you mentioned earlier that you were you were thinking of a few concepts as you were moving into voodoo, and my next question would be, can you give us a hint as to perhaps what you're dreaming up next? And before you tell me, can you please go ahead and follow through? Feel free to answer the question.
The attack from the killer clowns, or the killer clowns table. I'm still thinking about that one.
Oh, I'm thinking about you thinking about that one. One of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, I'd still like to do that one. Unfortunately, I think I don't know if this layout's going to end up being that, or if it's going to be.
Sure.
I had an idea for a table based around the Cthulhu mythos.
Ooh.
So
really,
that may be what this next thing's going to be. I'm still working the layout. I'm trying to decide on if that's going to be what I end up going with, or if I'll go back to killer clowns. Or, I mean, well, chances are I'm going to make both tables. Let's put it that way at some point.
I like the way your mind's thinking, and you know, let me offer. I'm not super talented, but if I can help you at all with either of those, they both interest me greatly. I have a lot of knowledge of H.P. Lovecraft, and you know, I'd love to assist if you need somebody to collaborate with. So.
Oh yeah,
that's
definitely.
Yeah, you didn't tell me any of that beforehand. That's freaking exciting. You just made my day. Wow. So now I got to make possibly killer clown crochet dolls like your voodoo doll that we give away, and maybe later Cthulhu.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, guess what? I'm a step ahead of you. We already make Cthulhu.
Oh, really?
Yep. All right. I'm really honored that you spent a little time and had some pizza with me tonight. Thanks for coming. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with, or something we forgot to talk about that you want to tell people?
I can't, you know, other than the guys that helped me out making voodoo. I mean, Pinstrats, Dan, Rick, Office, Fluffhead, you know, Stampa, all those guys. Actually, everybody at BPW who are magnitudes more talented than I am.
Differently talented.
You know? Yeah, I mean, all those guys really, I mean, they're just so talented, and I'm just lucky that they let me hang around still.
This hobby is made better by people working together, and that's one reason I want to thank you for coming tonight. Tonight's show has also featured content in the slideshow from Kenji. We also featured the Pup Pack, which was premiered on MPT3K's stream, and the gameplay that you've been watching was provided by Pinstrats Dan on his YouTube channel. Make sure you support all of these folks. Bearded Rick, who kind of got Kenji all the way through and encouraged him, right? He's one of the best testers in the business and won't sugarcoat how he feels. So it's just an amazing crew.
Rick actually had a few ideas that made it into the table. Actually, the Ouija board lighting up for, you know, whenever you made shots for jackpot and stuff, that was Rick's idea. So give him props for that. I don't know if I mentioned that in the bio or not.
I think you did. Not specifically that detail, but you thanked Rick. And, you know, Rick's always brought up in almost every interview. He's integral to the community, and I think more people need to know about him. He won't be interviewing with us because he doesn't feel like he creates anything, but I disagree with him.
I think that Voodoo would not be the same if it weren't for Rick.
Right.
We wouldn't be anywhere near what it is.
And to some extent, Dan as well. Dan
different
type of feedback, but yeah, these tables wouldn't play like this if it wasn't for those two guys. Right.
Exactly.
Well, thanks. If there's nothing else, you good?
I'm good.
Well, then I'll tell everybody good night, and thanks for coming. Yeah, thanks. Thanks again for Voodoo. We're looking forward to Cthulhu and possibly Killer Clowns, or whichever you decide to work on. We won't hold you to it, but Kenji's content can be found at the link below. Make sure you give it a like if you download it. Heck, write a review, please. It doesn't take much of your time, and it makes guys like us feel good when you appreciate the stuff we do for nothing. So thanks again, and good night. Say good night, Kenji.
Good night.